YouTube, how's it going? Welcome back to the channel. Today, guys, we'll be talking about my personal top 5 board breakers in Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel. So, without further ado, let's go into the first one, which is Super Polymerization. Now, I think most of you would actually comment into this. Why Super Polymerization? Well, in the current meta where brandeds, visuals, and also a ton of cards like Laundry Switch, which have the same attribute and the same type, would actually benefit for Super Poly. Current selection pack that had Garura on it, which is, like I said, its materials just needs 2 fathers with the same attribute and the same type. But if you're going up against Fluanderous, you can just Super Poly into those monsters, and then basically you have your Garura on the field. If ever you remove Garura, you'll draw 1 more card. So that's hitting 2 birds with 1 Super Poly. Now, there are a couple of fusion cards that you target for Super Poly. One is also not Dragon of the Swamp. Second is Starving Venom Fusion Dragon. And lastly, you have the Triple which is basically 3 dark monsters on the field. But anywho, the Starving Venom is a really good pick up if ever you'll go up against any 2 dark monsters on the field. So that's a really good Super Poly target. I do believe this is one of the strongest cards there is, especially on the previous ban list. They managed to put this on 3 copies max, so that is a really good pickup if ever you have 3 copies of this and add it to your deck. So that's Super Poly. Let's go towards the 4th one. The next card that I'm going to talk about is Ultimate Slayer. Now, people haven't been using this in the current meta, but I am slowly using this in the current rank that I am in, since most of the players are using the Met decks, which are Tier Elements, Visuals, Brandeds, and so on and so forth. The best part about this is you can target one of those monsters and shuffle it back to their deck. That, of course, you'll have some targets in your extra deck monsters that you can send to the graveyard for to prompt an effect. So let's talk about those monsters in a bit. So for fusion monsters, you have Garura. Of course, sending Garura to the graveyard, you'll draw 1 card. If you're sending Entes to the graveyard, you pop 1 card in the field. If you have the Fossil monsters, which is the Fossil Machine that pops a spell or trap, the Fossil Warrior that pops a monster on the field, and of course, your favorite, if you're using Brandeds, you can send any of the Albaz fusion monsters to the graveyard just to prompt the effect at the end of the turn. For XZ monsters, Toad was one of the targets for the Ultimate Slayer, but since Konami had that ban in Master Duel, there is one that was recently released in Master Duel, which is, I'll pull that card up here. This one here. So the Mereologic Aggregator, once sent to the graveyard, you can target 1 face-up card on the field, negate the effects until the end of the turn. So that's a really good imperm effect if ever this is sent to the graveyard. So that's one thing there that you can send to the graveyard. For Synchro monsters, you have 1 Omega that recycles 1 card and itself in the graveyard back to their deck. You have 1 Pegasus that shuffles 1 card in your opponent's side of the field if ever your monster is destroyed by battle or by card effect. The Herald of Arclight, if you're using, like for example, a Dogmatica deck, you can add 1 ritual monster or 1 ritual spell from your deck to your hand. And lastly, you have the Prima Donna that recycles 1 banished card from your banished zone back to your deck. So that's one of the good targets for Synchro monsters. For Link monsters, there's not that much that actually benefits you except for Fairjeet. Fairjeet allows you to draw 1 more card and then reshuffles back another card from your hand to your deck. If you're working with Beast Warriors, or Wing Beast monsters, there is the Shirag that you can send to the graveyard to prompt an effect. Other than that, that's the 2 basic Link monsters that will benefit you if ever sent to the graveyard. Pendulums, in the other hand, I think there's not really good targets for Pendulums for Ultimate Slayer, or on Ultimate Slayer, I would say. So anyways, that's Ultimate Slayer. Let's move to my 3rd best card for a board breaker. So my 3rd best board breaker is Dark Ruler No More. So the effect of this is kind of like Ultimate Slayer, where your opponent cannot respond. So the monster on your opponent's side of the field can't respond, I mean. So it's same as Ultimate Slayer. But yeah, Dark Ruler No More is something that you can add to your deck, and I've tested this out in most of the decks that I've tried during my climb. Just the ability to negate all the monsters on your opponent's side of the field currently is very useful, and so that you can actually combo it off during that specific turn. The downside for this is basically your opponent can't take any damage during that specific turn. So with that, that's Dark Ruler No More. Let's move towards my 2nd best board breaker in the game, which is Triple Tactics Talent. Now, why would this be a really good card at the moment? Well, with the coming of Visuals, Tier Elements that actually plays during your turn, Triple Tactics is a real necessity to actually have in your deck. Having the ability to option out to draw 2 cards, look at your opponent's hand, basically remove 1, shuffle it back to the deck, and of course take control of 1 monster on your opponent's side of the field that's non-targetable, is the best card effect there is for the game. But please, please, please use this with the current meta nowadays, since Bestials is one of the most annoying archetypes there is, alongside tier elements if ever they're using both at the same deck. You can use triple tactics, get a hold of their monster, or just remove a couple of Bestial monsters on their hand and then shuffle it back to their deck. So that's a really good pickup if ever you added this in your deck. So that's triple tactics talent. Let's move towards my number one board breaker in the game, which is, and I do believe people already know what my best board breaker there is in this game, and that is Evenly Matched. Yes, Evenly Matched. Since before, when I was still in Platinum, up until the Masters, Evenly Matched helped me a lot in breaking boards, especially if they don't have any spell and trap negates during that turn. Wiping out most of the cards on their board, and some cases there where people just activate a card effect, just removing that card allows you to wipe the entire cards on their board, is really, really funny and really, really nice to actually have for your deck. And the best part about this is just an SR card that you can just craft immediately. So you need to have this in the current meta. Also, the banished monsters is all face down, so they won't prompt the effect once sent to the banished zone. So that is the best board breaker there is for the current game. So I think that's it. I covered up most of the board breakers there is. Tell me your thoughts. Tell me in the comment section below if I missed anything that is really relevant for the current meta nowadays. But so far, these are my top 5 board breakers and that you need to use for the current meta on Master Duel. So that's me signing off. Keep safe, good luck. If you like this kind of content, like and subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.